We are making tiramisu, that's our coconut macarons.
Can I see the croissant? Yeah.
Yeah, he's making croissants, he's making
this croissant looks so small, but it's different from
no, but it becomes expands when it, after it bakes. You put the dough in here and you roll it on this, so it thins out the dough and makes it into a sheet. It's called a sheeter.
Oh,
so you put the dough and you flatten that side, and then the dough comes out. Yes, and then that's how it looks like this. The dough is laminated on this machine, and then once it is out, then that's Calibao. You can see Calibao chocolate. This is the best chocolate, Belgian chocolate that we put inside.
Some of the croissants that I buy from shops, I don't need to mention, but Sainsbury's package of it. The moments that I eat it, I know this flavor, buttery flavor is big.
Yeah. It's a walk-in freezer, which is absolutely gigantic.
Where is this?
Walk-in freezer.
Coming
full
here.
Of stuff.
Oh, can I let him quickly
have a you can take a quick picture of the walk-in freezer.
Yeah. This is the garage. There used to be this is the garage coming with this rent, right?
So this is my renovation that we did.
Everything, right?
And this was the garage doors. Look, you can see.
Yes, I remember.
That's our walk-in fridge.
I remember queuing there buying pizza there.
Yes. So that's the walk-in fridge.
Another walk-in
that's
fridge.
That's the freezer. This is the fridge. Big, big exhaust here as well. That's Fatima. She's our head chef.
That should be exhaust all the smell.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be any complaint from neighbor. This is my husband's favorite.
Yeah. Chocolate eclairs have just been made.
Yeah.
And then
this just been made.
Yeah. Just been made.
Okay.
Now this is the shell, the choux pastry. Now they will put the filling, they put the chocolate.
Yes. Wow.
You can try one if you want.
Yeah. This is okay.
This is this just leftover dough.
Okay, I'm gonna try one.
As a little snack for kids. French kids love to eat this.
Okay, I'm a Chinese kid then.
It's called a chiquette. So what you do is when you make the choux pastry, the last bit that is left, you just do that.
Oh wow! Okay, cheers.
It's much softer, this flour.
Where is it from?
This is actually French. That is French. This is French. This is English. From Essex.
So you mix them?
We mix different things.
It depends on which one you're making. Let's see the yummy cake now.
So like we make all our own pastry, make our own fillings. We make an amazing Thai chicken curry pie, which is my favorite, which is the one with the sesame
seeds. I came here for lunch, like all the time.
So that's always an option.
And then the
spinach and feta roll is very nice with the vegetarian.
Oh, the spinach, I have this, and also have your quiche.
Yes.
Yeah, the quiche is very nice. Yeah. And the salads, I mean, if it's one salad, it's very full. Yeah. I mean, because you put a veggie and also protein there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's choose in one box, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I can't move. So look at this colorful one. Look at this colorful one.
But and you've come today, which is a weekday. If you come on a weekend, it's even more full because we make a lot more special things on the weekend.
Yeah.
Our tiramisu is actually amazing, by the way, if you haven't tried it. And then we've got all our bread,
of course.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you got to see this. Okay, I'm not trying to advertise anything, but I tell you what's my favorite. Okay, it's this ciabatta, and then the best one focaccia.
So it's basically, it's like our own puff pastry, which is made downstairs. And see how beautifully decorated it is.
It's like a crowd.
Yes.
Wow.
See how beautifully it looks.
Hello, welcome to Jojo's Cross Borders. We are in our neighborhood, so I want to bring you to the entrepreneur in the real life, the owner for the Bridge Bakery. So her story is from the banker to the bakery owner. And also she is an entrepreneur from the Indian and a female. Let's hear her story and see what we can learn from that. At the same time, I want you introduce to our audience and who you are and then
Who am I? My name is Gauri. I run Bridge Baker. I'm basically a banker by profession. So my background was a business degree, a master's in business administration and finance. I spent the early part of my life in fairly large banks doing corporate finance, which I loved actually, incidentally. So I'm not one of those bankers who can say I hated my job. I actually quite loved my job. But it was very hard when I had my two kids and I went back to work. This is early 2000s when, it's very expensive to have childcare. And I was finding that I was not seeing my children at all and spending a small fortune on having nannies and housekeepers and the rest of it. So at some point you're like, why am I doing this? And I think that kind of coincided with, I think I always had this desire to do something in food. I love food. I've always loved to cook since I was 8 or 9. I baked my first cake at the age of 9. My mother was a fantastic cook as well. So it was kind of in the family. And the idea of creating a space which is warm and welcoming and has amazing food had been on my radar. So I guess in some ways the opportunity to do something like this came about because we moved from London. We were in London for many years when I was in my banking days. We moved to Singapore. And I met this baker from New Zealand who ended up partnering with me. And this bakery that we opened was called Baker and Cook. And it did very well in Singapore. At that point, we opened multiple stores. And I really learned a lot in those years that I ran it. And it was very hard. Singapore was very, very hard.
Did you run that Singapore bakery with him?
Yeah, but he didn't live here. He didn't live in Singapore. He lived in New Zealand.
But you run the bakery.
I ran the business
in Singapore.
In Singapore.
With him together.
Yeah. I mean, he was like the distant partner. I was the person, so I was the operations partner. He was like there, but he was like the face of the brand.
Got it, yeah.
But he wasn't really.
That's where you're working for the banks?
Yes. That's where that's when I started my bakery. So that's when I learned how everything in the bakery works. And also the fact that I love baking. And I know a lot about the recipes that, a lot of the recipes are now mine, for example. But I'm not a commercial baker. So, baking at home is very different than baking in a commercial setup. What you do at home doesn't work in a commercial setup. So I learned a lot of that. It was very hard. Singapore was very hard from a staffing, point of view and regulations and stuff. And so for various reasons, we decided to move back to London, mainly for my children, because they were at that age where they had to come back into the school system here. So we moved back when they were 11 and 13, my boys. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. It's so hard. I'm never doing this again. So I sold my stake in the business. I sold my stake in the business. Yeah. I made money out of it. So that was good. And I came back and I said, okay, back to banking. And I started applying for jobs again in banking. And then I remember having an interview, I think it was UBS. And there was an HR woman who interviewed me. And she was very kind of persistent. And she was, are you sure you can come back to banking after all these years of working for yourself? And, how do you feel about it? A lot of probing questions. So on my way back home from that interview, I was like, she's right. I don't think I can put on a suit again and again go back into this banking job where I'm reporting to 10 people, where it's very political, where, the drudgery comes back. Also, the jobs at that time in banking were all in risk management, which wasn't really my that interesting. It's actually quite boring. So it was either that or I start something on my own again. And then I live in the neighbourhood. I live in Fulham. I live in Parsons Green. And I saw this site come up. And I knew the site very well because I knew there was a garage in the back. And I thought that would make the perfect space to put the bakery in, the actual bakery kitchen.
Because that's a room.
Yeah. You need space because a lot of these properties here, they don't have that space. Exactly.
Oh, wow. So you just walk by, you saw that,
yeah,
right?
I saw that, and they weren't actually marketing it because there was an estate agent who was trying to sublease it at that point. I mean, how I got this lease is another story. We have to have another podcast for that because it was a project trying to secure the lease of this property. But anyway, it took a long time, but finally I did manage to secure this lease. And actually, at that time, I was thinking, if I do this again, I will do it with another business partner. It was just too much on my own.
Without the business
with somebody else.
Oh, with somebody else.
Yeah, with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And actually, there was one of my husband's ex-colleagues had shown some interest at that point. She was Singaporean English, and she was living in London at that time. But then she chickened out. And I'd already kind of come close to this property at that point, and I was like, now I'm too committed. I have to go ahead. So I did it on my own.
Wow.
On hindsight, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
It's so much pressure on you.
Also because, I was financing it myself. Yeah. I didn't take any money from anybody else. So all the money I made in Singapore, I kind of invested back in. Plus, it was just the managing the renovation myself. It was a massive renovation, going from a estate agent to a bakery, everything, and I couldn't afford to employ people. I couldn't afford to employ a project manager or anything like that. So I project managed everything myself. Yeah. I was literally here every day, 6 days a week. The builders wouldn't work on a Sunday, ordering cement and steel and wood and God knows what not.
You also followed the compliance.
Yes, of course. So I had somebody help me with the paperwork side of things. But yes, it was very stressful.
Yeah.
But I was very proud because in less than 4 months, we completed the renovation and we opened.
Wow.
I got the keys on the 22nd of February and we opened on the 12th of June. So just under 4 months.
Impressive.
I mean, it was killing. And I think that's the only time in my life I've actually lost weight without trying.
Yeah.
I was so stressed and I was running
great.
around.
That's a great natural way to lose weight.
Yeah, because you're just stressed, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what happened. And honestly, at that point, I wasn't thinking far ahead. I wanted to do this. I had this vision, right, about what I wanted to do. It was basically to create a warm space. And I wanted this bakery to always look like lived in. I didn't want it to be shiny and new, you know. I wanted people to think, oh, this has always been here.
So that is the you have a view, like a preview about what this looks like. But I want to ask you, what is your vision? You said this, I have this vision. So what is the vision you drive yourself, not going back to corporate world?
Yes.
And then come back to London, do everything on your own. So
Yes.
what is your vision?
So it's just to create a warm neighborhood space where people would feel comfortable walking in their pajamas, buying a coffee, sitting down and reading the paper, not pretentious, but very high quality food, very high quality service, but without it being pretentious, you know. I don't want people to think, oh, I can't walk in here, you know, this is too clean, this is too pristine, I can't bring my dog. You know, it shouldn't be like that.
Down to the
I
earth.
want people to be comfortable. So everything you see here, all the materials we use, all organic.
Yeah.
All the wood is recycled.
Yeah.
Some of the shelving that we have actually was wood that we took out from the garage, which we recycled.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to feel lived in and comfortable and homey. And funnily enough, one of my friends who visited the bakery after we opened also has come to my house, says, this reminds me of your house, because that's exactly how I live. I mean, our home is it's full of old things, basically, right? That's what I like. And it's got a very warm, lived-in feel. And so I think I've tried to sort of create that here in whatever way I can, but still keeping it obviously practical because it has to be a functioning business. So yeah, so we opened, and of course, as you know, 8 months later, it was COVID.
Yes, I know. We'll go back. We'll go to the COVID. So like just later. Let me ask you more question about. So you want to provide this like an atmosphere, like a feel home. What about your products? What is your value? What is the core on your bakery knowledge for what you provide is on the table?
So you know, when we are a neighborhood business like this, we can't, you know, you can't operate like you're a central London business where you have one star product and you can have 50 people queuing up to buy it. It doesn't work in a neighborhood. You know, you can't survive selling one thing or two things. So I was very clear from the very beginning that we have to do a really, really big range so that people come back in multiple times in a day sometimes, right? So that they can come in for a coffee, they can come in for their loaf of bread, they can come back with their children in the afternoon for a cake and another hot chocolate or whatever, come back in the evening for, you know, for something else to eat. So that was always the idea, that there's so many things that we do. We do lunch, we do brunch, so that you want a glass of wine, it's there. So that people
also you provided pizza. Can you believe it?
And the pizza was a COVID invention, actually.
We'll tap in later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the idea being that we needed people to come back again and again and again, because honestly, and this is the banker head of mine working and my finance head working. If we were like a single product business, like only bread or only cakes or only, I don't know, only brunch, it's much harder to survive. And especially in a neighborhood, because, you know, there's only so many people in a neighborhood. And unfortunately, no matter how wonderful we are, I don't see people from Kensington or Clapham coming to us to eat and drink. They won't. So we're relying on the neighborhood. So you have to have enough to sell to the neighborhood to make the business viable.
Yeah, we're not saying 24 hours, but majority from breakfast for dinner and drinks.
Yes, and the weekends and everything.
And the weekends, that's cool. But typing up, going back to why you're doing this, what's your vision? So I read about you're quite brave to break the cycle, to listen to your heart. There's something calling. I don't want to go back to corporate worlds now. I want to do this. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Even that's my investors, like pulling off the investors. So you will just go for it with all the burden on your shoulder. Just didn't give yourself any backup, any other plan B.
So, you know,
so that's very determined. It
is determined. I am very determined, by the way. I'm also very persistent. And I can tell you one thing, that one of the hardest things for me when I decided, okay, this is what I want to do, is I didn't know a single person in the food industry in this country. everybody that I knew was
When you come from Indian?
no.
or
When
Singapore?
I came back from Singapore.
From Singapore.
Yeah.
But you're originally from India, am I
Originally,
correct?
but that was like I haven't lived in India for like 30 years now. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, originally, of course, I grew up in India.
I'm Chinese.
Yes, so exactly.
we
So
moved
I
here.
lived
That's
in
our
India.
origin.
I studied in India.
Yeah.
I did my graduation and my master's degree there. And then my husband and I are actually classmates from our business school.
Yeah.
So when we got married,
And you moved to Singapore.
then no, we moved to London
Ah.
in the 90s. So he got a job here. I moved with him, and that's how we ended up in the UK in the first round. And then we left, and then we came back again.
Singapore. Got it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
when we came back again, basically I had been in the
No-
UK. My
nobody-
entire life in the UK had been in banking. Then we moved to Singapore, where I did a bit of banking as well there, by the way, before I went into the bakery. And then we are back here again.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I realized I don't know a single person in the
No.
hospitality industry here.
I'm with you,
right?
100%.
So I'm like, how do I get off the ground? And the key person for me to get started off with was I needed a head baker. Without a head baker, I can't
How did you
function.
find the head baker?
So I feel this is where I tell my children this, okay? You have, whatever you want to do, you have to be determined about it. I literally went around telling every single person that would care to listen, I want to start a bakery, I want to start a bakery. And they would look at me and say, okay, all right, that's it. I ended up at an evening at some other restaurant, very nice Spanish restaurant, where I happened to meet the marketing manager who ran that restaurant. And I was chatting to her and I said, I want to open a bakery. And I always, do you know anybody? She said, actually, I do know this guy. Let me see. So she connected me with this random chap who used to run a cafe somewhere in Harrods or whatever. Spoke to him. Through him, I got a few contacts. And then separately, I went on my LinkedIn and I basically, this is like 10 years ago now, and I basically looked at all the, anybody who was a head baker in London. I reached out to all of them with a little blurb saying, this is what I did in Singapore. I want to start the same thing in London. If you're interested, contact me. One person contacted me. And Massimo, as I'm still in touch with him, by the way. And he said, look, I can't do this because I've got something else. I've got another job. But I know somebody who lives in Fulham who might be interested.
Oh, wow.
And the rest, as I say, is history. So unfortunately, Pavel, who joined us when we first started, was lovely. He was a lovely Polish guy. He didn't last very long because he had already applied to move to Australia. And his paperwork came through in about 9-10 months after we started. And so he left, and he's now in Australia. But at least he got me off the
He was
ground.
the one that set it up.
Set it up for me. I mean, we could work together in the beginning, plan everything out. Because even though I
Run
knew...
as a trial.
Yeah, exactly. And do trials and all of that. So literally, I think, you have to wear your heart on your sleeve.
Believers and then
Believe in it. And I keep saying, I don't know, I really think that if you try really, really, really hard at something, somebody out there is watching out for you and will make it happen.
absolutely.
So
That's a God bless you or any energy like
some energy, positive
yeah.
energy. Yeah,
Positive.
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Right. So now, the biggest lesson you gave us is like a perseverance and with a passion, determines and knows what you're doing.
No shortcuts.
And then no shortcuts. And also believe yourself, right?
Yeah.
I'm completely with you. That's like the same experience to me. I moved to this country about like 12 years ago from China. Landed here, nobody here.
Wow.
I mean, that sort of a feel.
Yeah.
You can feel like you kind of like feel lonely and also helpless. But you're absolutely much braver than me because you just ought to setting up this bakery on your own without knowing the head chef and then lost your investors and just do it on my own.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
Nice story.
I was very fortunate that because my husband and I both, from the finance background, he continued working in finance.
Yeah, he is.
He's still, but he's actually quit and he's writing a book, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
And also because I'd also been in finance long enough, we had enough of a nest egg. It wasn't like, I mean, I have to admit that when I put my investment into this business, and it was my money that came out of the sale from my stake in the bakery in Singapore, let's just say that it had all gone pear-shaped, I wouldn't be on the street. Okay, so that's good. That's the main thing that I have.
You're lucky enough.
I was lucky enough that I have enough of a cushion that I wasn't putting everything into this because I think that would be a bit maybe too risky, especially with kids and a family. So I was quite lucky that at least my family weren't relying on me to pay all the bills. Let's put it that way. So because he was there and he was working, he was very supportive. He still is very supportive. Without him, I couldn't have done it because I know that if all else failed and everything went pear-shaped, at least we have a home, we have a our kids can go to school, whatever. We didn't
This
have
is the
that.
ideal situation, isn't it? You have your security pass, but there's a lot of people because they have this ideal cushion.
Yes.
So they're kind of like get into the comfort zone.
Yes.
They don't want to do anything because I'm good enough. Why should I bother?
That is such a shame because I see that around me all the time. I see so many, I shouldn't say that, I see so many talented, brilliant, not just women, but even men, but women especially, who are just,
Why should I bother?
who have a good life. I have so many friends that I know who have a great life, and they all look at me and they're like, "What the hell are you doing with yourself? Why are you working like this?" And look at you look like shit. They'll tell me literally, "Look at you don't take care of yourself. You don't go to the gym. You don't exercise," because that's what they're all doing. They're all, looking beautiful, spending hours, exercising, doing whatever they need to do to look and feel great. But I just feel the satisfaction that I get from doing what I do. And I think my kids and my family know me very well. They're like, okay, you're better out of the house. Because if I'm at home, I'm like, okay, what do I do next? I'm like, okay, let's clean up. I can't sit still. So I'm much better out putting my energy here.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'd drive everybody in my house up the wall.
I hope you don't drive your staff mad.
I do. I'm sure I do. And they always tell me off because no matter what, they think everything is looking perfect. I will come in and find 3 things that are wrong.
Okay.
Always, every single time. So they get very annoyed with me. Like,
Professionalism.
Yeah. Like how? I said, I have eyes behind my head. I see everything.
Yeah. But the thing is like you realize like you are driving other people's nuts. Yes. So basically you are conscious about like what's the good part.
I try. At least I
to
try and do it gently and
that's why you
politely.
can say it, right? You can say it, right? So I see a lot of like a financial background on your business.
Yes.
From a observer.
Oh, 100%.
Because like what you just mentioned about your product line.
Yes.
So not from a one products line, but put all the products on the shelf. Like people have a variety of choices, and they eat throughout the day. Also, financial background I can see is like you start with this business first, which is I observe, okay, and then so second one you open up the Fulham one, and now I heard like this new one, Hammersmith open up.
That's a bit more complicated, but I will tell you about that.
So start from one, and you start from the second and third. So where's this like that is you building up the scale part. But what I want to ask you is how you arrange this capital, like arrangements. That's also financial parts.
So one of the things I have chosen not to do is to borrow money from anybody. So the initial investment in here was all 100% mine because I didn't want the responsibility.
Can I ask you how much is it?
Yeah. So this everything always goes over budget. So originally I'd budgeted around 275,000.
275,000.
But went in the end when we did the final numbers, including everything, including paying for staff when we're not open and stuff like that, all adds up. I think it came to about 325.
So that's just a renovation
and equipment. Yeah, and equipment. But this is going back 2018, 19.
Yeah.
When believe me, now,
oh my God,
it's crazy. Yeah.
So repeat it. Let me see. So and all finish on 300 or?
Yeah, 225.
325 rent, renovation, equipment.
No, not rent, still renovation. Renovation and equipment. Rent is annual, right? This is, I'm talking the upfront capital and the capital expense.
Yeah.
The capital expense, you said, because what people don't realize in a bakery is that the equipment, the kit is very expensive.
Oh my gosh, I can
see
provers,
walk-in fridge, walk-in freezer, all of that.
And also we not mention about energy because
energy is separate. Energy is ongoing. But the one-off initial cost for setting up, renovation, and labor costs are very high in this country, as you know. So all of that, by the time just the builder's bill alone would have been like 150, 150. So that's the main.
That's a lot. And what about the first capital? Like when you get everything running, there's also a operational.
So that's working capital. But luckily, in a business like this, you don't need much working capital because your customers are paying when they come to the business. So you're not giving credit.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about a retail business. That we're not really giving, unless we have wholesale customers who we give credit to. None of the retail customers have credit. So your cash flow is always going to be, once you start working, you should be able to manage your cash flow. If you have a negative cash flow in a business like this, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So then how long that you started to balance?
So from the initial investment that I made, I would say it took about 4 years to break even.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID, and also because, one of the things that people don't realize in our business, and this is why I would never recommend anybody to open a bakery, is because we want to make everything from scratch, right? So everything we make here is made by our own team. So if I had to ask you to guess, Jojo, how many people, now you know we have 3 stores, right? The third one included. Guess how many people we employ in the business in total? What would you say?
20?
Guess again.
40?
Guess again.
50?
58.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. So that is, okay, to be fair, a lot of them are part-time.
Yeah,
Right, but still, but that's how many bodies we have, and our biggest cost is not energy, it's not rent, it's not rates, it's labor. It's labor. And to be honest, we asked about the second store. The reason I opened the second store is because in about 2 years, it was clear to me that the amount we were doing here, not 2 years, actually after COVID, COVID 2019. So about 3 years, in about 3 years, it became clear that the amount that we were selling here and the cost, because, the labor costs kept going up because minimum wage kept going up and salaries kept going up.
So the margin is shrunk.
Yes, and to keep that quality, to make sure that we're not buying frozen stuff and baking up, which I never want to do. We make everything from scratch, employing pastry chefs, bakers, lamination chefs, deli chefs. All of that, if I include all of that, having one outlet wasn't enough.
No.
That was what happened. So what I decided to do was, if you have another store in the neighborhood, and I live very close to that one, by the way.
Okay.
I thought it made sense to then have a second outlet to sell.
Yes.
And also we were running out of kitchen space. So what we did was we moved some of the savory production there.
Yeah.
So the rolls and pies and quiches now get produced there.
Yeah.
So we also use the kitchen space there.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. So I just felt that would help us to sell more bread and more pastries.
Indeed.
Where we have this fixed cost of, because what happens is, very simply put, bakers. We actually probably only need 2 bakers every night with the current production. But we have to have 3 on our payroll. Why? Because because you work 5 days a week.
Oh,
they have to have 2 days off.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have one person working alone in the night. No way.
No.
So you have to have 3 bakers, and each baker gets paid a lot of money. Salaries are very high. So the cost of those 3 bakers, you can't afford to just have one outlet selling your bread. But that's how the numbers. So that's where the numbers come in. So that was the main reason why opening the second store became important.
And then what about the third one now?
I had no intention ever of opening any more. I was done as far as I was concerned. I was very happy. I thought, okay, I've got my 2 stores. I live in Fulham. I can manage them.
Yeah.
Great. Last year, no, not last year, the year before now, 2024, June, my head baker, who had been with us for a couple of years, he came up to me and said, I'm going to quit. I'm telling you now, I'm giving you 3 or 4 months notice, but I'm gone. I can't do this anymore. Okay, so what are you going to do? And he said, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll start my own bakery. And I said to him, that's the stupidest thing I've heard. Why would he do that? If you want to start your own bakery, do it with me.
So you partner with your key staff now?
That's the main thing that I did, was just because to keep him happy. And I kept telling myself, Fortis, his name is Fortis, this is for you. Okay, I'm doing this for you. I have no desire to open a third store. And so his thing was, here, when we only had this site, the way we were working was the bakers would work from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. Again, there was no other time they could work, because 6 a.m. the chefs come in. And the pastry team come at 4:30, and they need the kitchen space and they need the ovens. So the bakers have to be gone by 6 a.m. So they had to work a night shift every night. He was like, I can't do the night shift permanently. I mean, I can do for a few nights, but I need to have some balance in my life, and it's killing me because it's very hard on your body, right? So to change that, to make the night shift not, to not have the night shift, the only way it would work is we had to have more space where they could work into the morning, because here they have to be gone at 6.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we need more space. That's the whole thing. So now with the Olympia branch, what we've done is we moved the bread team there, which Fortis runs.
Yeah.
And now they work from like around 3 in the morning till about 1 in the afternoon, so that they can use the kitchen and there's nobody else in their way.
And no pressure.
No pressure to get out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're working there. The pastry team is still working here.
Yeah.
And the savory team works there. So we've got 3 sections now. So it all is divided up. The logistics are a nightmare every morning.
I know,
Just
I can
trying to
imagine
get
that.
things moving.
Get
There to there, there to there to there is like a thing. But it's all not too far away, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I opened the third one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had no desire.
But you open up you change your business model. So this one is you own this. And then the third one is the
Yeah. So that's a
It's a
subsidiary company.
subsidiary company.
And Fortis owns a big chunk in that.
You can copy that to the
Yeah.
city, to anyone like who wants to do.
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
In theory, yes. But I didn't realize when I did this is again my shortcoming. We've done it, and now we realize that actually the paperwork, the accounting has become a nightmare. But to see now here, for example, whatever we transfer between the stores, it doesn't matter, it's the same business. But whatever we transfer from here to there and there to there, it's two different businesses.
I mean, this is leave it to the accountants.
Yes.
As a professional
No, but-
accountant, they can sort it out.
No, but we have to keep a record of everything.
I know. Yeah.
So our record keeping has become intense.
yeah.
So everything we send, I mean, we can ignore a few small things, but now anything we send from here to there, like these guys, we want a bag of coffee, we can just send it. But if it's a different business, it is a different business, right? It's a subsidiary business. So we have to be much more careful now. So my Excel spreadsheeting has gone. I'm glad that I'm very comfortable with all of this. Oh my God, yes.
You know Excel.
I have Excel spreadsheets coming out of my ears.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me the other day, "Oh, you must be waking up at 5 a.m. to bake." I said, "No, I wake up at 5 a.m. to Excel spreadsheet." That's what I'm doing now because my life is surrounded by spreadsheets. So even the rota for so many staff is so complicated.
It is a complicated, but I'm sure that once you set up your system, once you how to say it, as like a separate, is like the company you own and the franchise one, there must be a way to scale up from the.
I mean, it's not really franchise, but I still own the majority in that as well. But and he has a small stake. But at least it's still part of the business.
Yeah. That's very smart. Okay, so now I want to leave to the difficult parts, the experience like for COVID. Okay. That's how I noticed you basically COVID. You know, I know that your bakery started working like I was out for dog like 5 o'clock sometimes because I just needed some fresh air.
You would see them.
And I can smell it. And I said, okay, right.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Yeah, that's why I came here with my dog. Yeah. But tell me about it's so 2019 you started.
Yes.
Everything on your own, spending 300,000 spend more than that. And then a couple of months later, COVID hits.
Yeah.
And then everybody stayed at home. And then also a couple of months later, your head chef leaving.
Yes. Yes.
Are you comfortable to talk about that?
Yes, of course I am.
How you're struggling that?
You know, I'm maybe just my nature, the kind of person I am. I feel like nothing can daunt me, provided I have a solution. You know what I mean? Like I have to keep thinking positively and forward. So it is scary, but at that moment, I'm always just thinking ahead. So, okay, what can we do now? And as long as I have a plan to deal with something, I'm actually very calm about it. So what happened with COVID is very interesting. So that year, 2019, I don't know if you were aware, but we got these 2 awards that are hanging in the corner there. We got awarded the best place to eat in Hammersmith Fulham, and we also got the best new independent business. So we became quite, I won't say famous, but
locally well known.
And also the council got to know us.
Okay.
So what happened was when lockdown was announced, and you know, this is where I think people should understand the difference between us and a massive chain like Gales. They had to shut down. Gales had to shut down because they're not an artisan bakery. They make everything in a factory somewhere, and it's sent all over the country. Whereas we're actually making everything here locally. So we weren't even sure if we could be allowed to stay open. And I actually got a call from the council because they knew me by then. They called me and they said, "Will you stay open?" And I said, "Can we stay open?" And they said, "Yes, because if you're manufacturing, you're not a retail store, you're actually a manufacturer of food. And the council is worried about food supplies in the neighbourhood. So if you can stay open, that'll be fantastic." I said, "We would love to stay open if we can." So I went and checked with all our team, a smaller team at that time. And almost everybody, except for a very few small number of people, said they were comfortable to still work, despite COVID lockdown. So we said, okay, so we'll stay open. Obviously, we had to follow the regulations and we shut, all the seating and everything. There was only takeaway, if you remember. We were very fortunate
away,
this side.
1 meters away.
Yes,
Also, but at least I can get fresh
yes.
here.
And also we had this back door, right? We have a back door. So
yes,
it's perfect.
Going this way and going out.
I had a one-way system. So all that worked out very well. So we did that. And so we started doing that in March, whenever lockdown was announced. And we stayed open every single day. And then basically, obviously we were losing business. We lost our entire dining in. We lost our entire brunch, we couldn't do a brunch. So I was not worried, but I was like, okay, what can I do to improve our revenue stream? And again, through one of our team, I got introduced to a guy who I ended up hiring as a back of house manager.
Like a what manager?
As a back of house manager. I was looking for a manager anyway. And also my baker issue had happened. We got a new head baker who was not very good actually. So I was looking for a new back of house manager. So this guy came along and I said, what can we do to in the evenings maybe, that we can use our kitchen and our ovens and do something that we can add revenue. And we came up with this idea because I had a pizza business even in Singapore. Even our bakery there had a pizza business. That was a separate business though. It was like a different brand. So, but I knew how to do it. So I said, what if we start pizza in the evenings? So we decided that we will do backdoor pizzas. I don't know if you remember. So we opened the back door in the evenings because we will shut all of this by 6 p.m. And Ian, my back of house manager, would sit in the back with a desk, with a little table and a card machine and a bottle of wine.
Yes.
And the idea was you come, you order, you pay, the pizza's made in front of you literally.
Yeah.
And while you're waiting, you can have a glass of wine standing up.
Yeah.
So people would mill around in the back over
Yes.
there and they would get pizzas from us. And the pizzas became really popular.
Yes.
Now, one unfortunate thing, I hope I don't get killed for saying, but our next door neighbor absolutely hates us.
I can imagine if I'm your
So-
next neighbor, I mean, yes,
Well, he hates us because he doesn't like this. He didn't like the smell of bread. He didn't like anything that we did. And so what happened was at that time during COVID, we were allowed to use the back door as a trading door. Like you could trade from there, right? But as soon as lockdown ended, literally the date ended, I got an email from him saying that you've got to cease trading from this door because now lockdown has ended. You're not allowed to do this
Yeah.
anymore. So we're like, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah.
So we had a choice. Either we shut pizza
Yeah.
or we bring it into the business.
Yeah. And you did later.
No, straight away. So we said, okay, fine, we'll bring it into the business.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of our customers back
And then
then
adding
were like,
wine as well. I remember I bought wine.
we had wine from the very beginning, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't sell much of it until the pizza began.
No, but pizza
yeah,
with the wine
yeah,
together.
exactly. And so that was a big decision because a lot of our neighbors were like, what do we do? And a lot of our customers, they were like, you can't stop doing them now. They're so good, your pizzas. So we're like, okay. And then pizza became a part of the business. So funnily enough, we never had the word pizza on any of our boards. The new store we have it, which says bakery and pizzeria, but here we'd already done the signage. I stuck the word above this pizza, but that was about it. And it was tough because, you know, when you bring pizza into the business, you increase your costs because then you need front of house staff, then you need, you know, to be open longer. So we were adding more operating hours. And it was the first 2 years of pizza was tough because Wednesday, Thursday was dead very often. Sundays could be dead. But you can't have a pizza chef for just 2 days. You need to employ somebody full time. So eventually, I think I feel like literally I've stood behind the counter, anybody walking in, buying some bread, I would say, oh, have you tried our pizza? You do pizza? Yeah, we do. In the evening, come back. You know, so slowly, I think we got the word out, and now this is our seventh
you
year.
did. So, I mean, even like my friends on the park walking the dog saying that I'm going to have a dinner at a bakery. And I say, what? For pizza and a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I said, that's innovative.
It's taken a long time, and actually, it's not as weird as people think it is because you think, oh, why is a bakery doing pizza? But actually, it's all about the dough, and our dough is absolutely amazing.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much.
today,
Thank you,
to
Jojo.
walking us through your baby and then your successful business, and also like your story to inspire other people like who want to be an entrepreneur. Yes. So just thanks for the fans who are looking at our programs.
for coming in.
Thank you. But Gauri gonna say that all the fans, if you mention Jojo's friends, you get 10% for everything.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.